Welcome to using eTakeoff to perform masonry material measurements. Let's begin by double-clicking structural CMU by length from the traces control panel. We'll come back to the quantity list. We perform the takeoff by clicking on the beginning point and all intersecting points, which add rebar ties between walls, and then lastly the end point. We need to make choices or entries of block size, height of the wall in feet, indicating whether or not there are bond beams, and the spacing of that. Then we need to indicate whether or not there is rebar in the bond beams, and if so, what rebar size. Are there vertical filled cells? Choosing this opens up other input items. Choose the rebar size, the spacing. Choose the mortar type. This changes the sand, cement, lime ratio. You can have up to 2 rebars in each bond beam. Entering 2 doubles the rebar. You can add vertical ties to the floor above, which can be wet placed or included with vertical length. Wet placed is the most common. All of the information is calculated here, but there is no need to do anything with it. This is the Excel workbook supplied with the masonry system. The Excel add-in has been activated, which adds this item to the Excel menu system. Left-click and then ensure you have chosen the correct project. I encourage you to create a copy of this template file for each project. Let's go back to our takeoff and review our choices. We will make a couple of changes. Let's see how easy it is to update the Excel workbook. With a single click on refresh, our material list is updated. To perform a concrete and rebar takeoff for our CMU walls, double-click the footing for masonry wall above in the control panel. Left-click on the beginning point and then the ending point. Supply the information required to complete this measurement. Masonry config has 2 rebars at each end of a wall. Rebar clearance is to face of concrete. Rebar size and count. Vertical. Rebar size and spacing. Checking the W stirrups checkbox will open other items, and this footing will be configured as a grade beam. Choosing transverse will close the stirrups information and open other input items related to transverse rebar. Be sure to correctly enter the horizontal tail length of the vertical rebar, remembering the clearance to face of concrete. Material quantities for these footings are to be found on the Wall Footing Materials tab of the workbook. Let's see what this system has for brick takeoff tools. An area takeoff has been performed with these choices. Doing an additional takeoff is easy. Simply double-click the brick walls by area and begin an area takeoff in a clockwise manner. We'll leave the windows and venting in the area takeoff. Choose the brick size and the mortar type. from the drop-down boxes. The waste factor can be leaving areas in or applying a whole number percentage in this box, or a combination of both. Sometimes with elevations you cannot see all the area that needs to be measured. By simply clicking outside what is drawn, you can get an accurate quantity. Because of the size of the window, we subtract its area by using the G key for disconnected points and then a counterclockwise area measurement. Choose the brick size and mortar and you're ready for the next item. Included with these tools is masonry square foot area with descriptions. Let's see how it is used. Double-click the trace and begin an area takeoff in a clockwise manner. Enter a description of the area in this text box. Enter additional information in the next two text boxes fully describing the measurement. Notice the descriptor is putting together the information and the area is 16.13 square feet. By checking the area two sides yes, no, the area is doubled and you've just taken off the other side of the item. Many times you need the length of a masonry item. Choose masonry item by length with descriptions and measure the length of the item. Describe it like the previous tool and enter the occurrence of this item in this particular structure. In this case, 4 corners. So with one measurement, you have just measured the 4 corners of this column. Often there are no elevation pages or they're incomplete for a brick takeoff. We will use the brick walls by length tool to count our brick and mortar requirements. Measure the length and enter the wall height. Choose the brick and the mortar type. And don't forget the waste factor like I did. And you are done. The next tool we'll use is the masonry area by length and height with descriptions, and then compare it to a similar tool that we've already used. Double-click the trace and perform the measurement. Right-click the item height verbiage and choose length and measure the height for this wall. We want both sides of this wall with no area deduct. We'll perform a takeoff of the same area using the masonry square foot area with descriptions tool and see how it compares. Select two sides and enter descriptions. Make an adjustment using the E for edit key and compare the two area takeoffs. 106.43, 106.19. Frequently with masonry, you need to count various architectural elements and describe them. The masonry item by count with descriptions is for just that purpose. Count the item and provide the description. Next, we'll use the masonry item by length tool to complete this takeoff using the C shortcut key for radius. Fill out the text description boxes. Notice the descriptor is putting together the various text description items that you are typing in. And we're done. This is the measurement list with all of our measurements. We want to sort them so we can drag and drop some of the measurements into the provided Excel workbook. Right-click on any of the column headers and choose Advanced Descriptor Config with Unit of Measure. Sort by description. Change this to copy drag values and make the Excel workbook visible. Left-click the upper portion of what you wish to place in Excel, hold down the Shift key, and left-click the lower right portion. You're ready to drag and drop. These are all the measurements that were done using the text description tools. The concrete, CMU, and brick takeoffs have their own worksheets, and that data is automatically updated with the refresh button. Contact me to get these tools for yourself.